morning. The shorts and short sleeve jersey is on and it's absolutely beautiful. We're still in a coronavirus lockdown though, so it's going to be a short ride today. No more than about 20-25 miles I would imagine, which is enough of that taking the mick. People out exercising, keeping social distancing. It's good to see. We're in for a hot Easter Saturday I think, so let's hope the minority don't ruin it for all. Anyway, I'm out today on the Cannondale CAAD 12 rather than the Boca. I tend to use the Boca for 75% of my riding now, either in a gravel mode or with the road slicks on, but occasionally it's nice to come out on the CAAD 12. And whilst I don't think it's a huge amount quicker, it's certainly quicker on the hillier rides. As one review online said, it kicks harder than Cristiano Ronaldo, so it's a lot of fun. I bought the Cannondale CAAD 12 at Christmas, bit of an eBay cheapo special. I'm quite lucky that I have access to a villa in Portugal. I always take my bike out, but especially with two young kids, it can be a bit of a pain sort of transporting it. So I bought it primarily to keep this bike out in Portugal, and then I can just fly out, use it when I've got the time. I'm not sure I'm going to get to Portugal this summer, so it might get some use in this country. Certainly on sunny, dry days like this, it's absolutely glorious to use it for predominantly road. But now I've got used to the supple life on the Boca and the power of the disc brake, I have less desire to ride a bike like this for sure. But let's enjoy the conditions and we'll go through some of the specs, some of the things I've changed on this since I've had it. So this bike came with 6800 Ultegra originally, but it was I think well beyond its sell-by date, if I'm honest. The frame and wheels were brand new and the guy had clearly just built it up on a really old group set that had probably been retired for good reason. So I've since taken that off. I've kept the spider ring chain set, which I think is one of the highlights of any Cannondale bike if you've got that on there. And I've replaced the brake shifters and derailleurs with R8000 mechanical. Much better than the 6800 I think. Certainly the brakes and the extra clearance that they allow me to have on the tyres. So I've got now a Trimax carbon handlebar, 42cm width on here. It came with a pretty standard alloy Cannondale one, and this was on a bit of a steel from Wiggle, so I got hold of that and I've covered it in lizard skins camo bar tape. I chose the CAAD 12 as you really can pick up some good bargains on eBay, especially since the CAAD 13 came out, and from my point of view I actually think this is a better looking bike. It's certainly more traditional, and I think it'll be a real shame when, you know, the Evo and the CAAD 12 were probably the last of that traditional looking shaped bike from the big manufacturers. The handling is absolutely telepathic. It's brilliant compared to the Boca with its longer wheelbase. This thing corners so nicely. I have to say I haven't gone descending any alpine mountains with it, but I imagine it'd be an absolute joy to use in those sorts of conditions. The ride is slightly firm. I don't think there's any getting away from that. I haven't got the Save Cannondale seat post in there. I just got a fairly standard carbon Cannondale seat post in there, so that might make some difference. 28mm in the back now, that's definitely helped a little bit. And going tubeless would help more, but I don't really want to go tubeless on this bike, because if it's going to sit in a garage in Portugal for 10 months of the year, the sealant will just become a hassle to deal with every time I go out there. So I'll probably get some coursers or something like that to go on this, make that ride feel a bit more supple. Geometry wise, this bike is a 56 and it's not too bad for me. I struggle with reach and drop a bit. I think I've got quite tall legs, so I run a high seat post, and that then gives problems with drop and reach. And with my newly installed aerodynamic belly, it makes it even worse. But all bikes seem to be a compromise always. It's so difficult trying to find something that has that all-day plushness and yet climbs and accelerates as well as this does. And something like the Cervelo C3 that I had, for example, glorious road bike that. But if I was doing a tap to tour, I don't know, spending a lot of times, you know, in the mountains out the saddle trying to grind up a climb, it's nowhere near as rewarding, say, as a bike like this is. But man, you'd probably feel 100 miles in the saddle on this thing. Although maybe not on glorious French roads, or roads like this for that matter. Good excuse to stop for a breather. And this is quite a nice place to talk about the bike actually. So let's go over a few more of the details that I've been talking about so far. This bike is coming in at just under 8 kilos on some pretty noddy scales that I've got at home. Can't do much with the frame set. The group set is pretty good for my liking, certainly functionally. I wouldn't want to drop weight there, and I couldn't afford to with something like Dura-Race. Got carbon bars. So the wheels really is where the weight's going to be dropped from. These come in at about 17.5 grams, so definitely scope to lose sort of 300 grams from them. Get some more sensible tyres, nice light supple tyres on there, maybe lose another 100 grams. So I think you could get this pretty close to 7.5 with the pedals on without spending an absolute fortune, and it rides really nicely. 28mm tyres in the back. I've had absolutely no rubbing, and I currently weigh close to 90 kilos. I don't know what the true measurement of this tyre is though. It's nowhere near as wide as say a GP 4000 28mm, but I think it's pretty true to size, or perhaps a mil over. So as long as your 28s are a true 28, I don't think you'll struggle on this bike. And for reference, these rims are 19mm inner rims, so that hopefully gives you an idea of what sort of size they're going to come up at. I've also gone with the excuse the fact it's in completely the wrong gear for videoing and photographing your bike. I'll have a word with myself, but I've gone with the longer cage rear mech on here, and that is again just with things like Adaptator in mind, and the thought of putting an 1134 on the back for those sort of bailout options when you're feeling tired going around the hairpins. Right, I think that's it. I'm going to put the camera away and enjoy the rest of the ride, but if there's anything else you want to know about the Cannondale CAAD 12, put something down in the comments. Otherwise, check out some other videos I've got on YouTube, and enjoy any government indoor cycling you can get during this coronavirus lockdown. Stay healthy, stay safe.